Syracuse of the ACC, the Ohio Bobcats of the MAC, where Dino Babers was coaching Bowling Green before he came to Syracuse 6 seasons ago, this being his sixth season. And you are no strangers to this gentleman, Isaac Alford, here with us inside of the studios here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And we'll bring Isaac in here a little bit here, bring him in a little bit closer, and get him all set and ready to go. Isaac and I just watched the game and now are here to talk with you about Syracuse's first win of the season in their first try. Isaac, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm very happy to have this moment, have this time with Syracuse, have this time with you as the Syracuse Orange have gained a victory. What were your kind of initial thoughts as the game ended?
As the game ended, I thought it was a well-played game by Syracuse. They came out and did exactly what they needed to do. I think in these type of games, especially on the road, against a good MAC program in Ohio, especially coming off a season that Syracuse came off last year, you kind of didn't know what to expect, but they did what they needed to do for game one.
Yeah,
it's hard to win, especially on the road. So I was impressed with what I saw.
Yeah, in Syracuse, typically throughout recent history with Marone as well as Schaefer and Dino, they struggled on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to start the season on the road and get a win, I think is a big statement, no matter who it's against, because of the fact that historically Syracuse has struggled over the last decade plus with winning games away from the Dome.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even with Dino, like you mentioned, coming from the MAC, his couple of years in that conference, he probably, he played against those teams, so that kind of probably gave his team a little bit of an advantage, getting them prepped for what the Ohio team was going to bring. And, there's a lot to learn from it, and they can take that and then get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, and we hear going into the game that kind of an interesting move by Dino Babers. He said a few weeks back, 3 weeks or so ago, he had made this statement, 3 weeks and some change ago. He said that I want my quarterback to decide himself who it's going to be.
Exactly.
So between Garrett Schrader and Tommy DeVito, he wanted them to decide so he didn't have to. And then he says a little over a week ago, we're going to play both. So essentially that they hadn't made it their mind up. But on the depth chart, it did not say Tommy DeVito or Garrett Schrader. It said Tommy as the starter, Garrett as the backup, and that's exactly what it was today. Garrett Schrader came in at the end of the game in what people call kind of garbage time, cleanup time, whatever you want to call it. But Tommy had this game, and I think with all due respect, he deserved to stay in this matchup. Some people getting upset at the end of the game that Garrett didn't get in. The commentator constantly mentioning, "Where's Garrett? Where's Garrett?" But, you run the hot hand, and I think that anybody that's ever seen any sporting event ever knows that when your starter's fine, you'll leave them in.
Exactly. There's no reason to make that change in this game. Tommy had good control, and it shows you what a good offensive line or a decent offensive line in front of you can do for you. He handled it pretty well, and, the read option, everybody wants to say Schrader has that. That's part of his game, and Tommy showed a little bit in this game. He can read the defensive end just as well and pull the ball. He can use his legs effectively, and he scored the first touchdown of the season. So,
yeah,
kudos to him. And, exactly, you just don't make the change just for the sake of making the change. And it might have been a little gamesmanship on Dino, too, saying, hey, I'm playing too, and there's probably going to come a time in the season where he's going to have to play both of them. But tonight wasn't that night. And, let Tommy get in there and get a little rhythm. He missed time, too. He was away from the game. It was taken from him last year. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was real anxious to get back out there with his teammates and playing.
And it's hard to believe at the end of the game because of how much we saw Tommy involved in this offense in such a positive way. Arguably one of his best games, if not his best game as a starter, and just kind of comfortability. It could be his best game ever running and passing the ball. Just seeing the comfort level on both sides work together. Maybe some games he ran the ball okay, passed the ball okay, came in for Dungy a couple times a few seasons ago and was able to close games out or win games. But as a true starter, I think we can argue that this was his best all-around game.
Exactly. He's going to get better as it goes along. In the offseason, like you was talking before the game, he said how he's gotten improved mentally with the game. So if he can keep that aspect up, and you never know what he's going to be able to do. Hopefully, his arm is always the thing everybody talked about when he came into the program.
Yeah.
Now he showed, hey, I got a little bit of legs and stuff, and I can move around the pocket and stuff. So, but take the win, get better with it, and then I'm pretty sure there's some things that they want to polish up. You got a good team coming in next weekend too. So always take it.
Yeah, I think Syracuse taking this victory and running with it. This is how you want to start off the season. This is how you want to start off after going 1-10. Essentially, you couldn't lose this game because if you lost this game, I think whether or not the team said it or not, I feel like it would have felt like 1-11.
Right.
It would have been a continuation. It would have kind of kept the bleeding going. So I think that more than anything, they needed this just to kind of, when you cut your mouth and you bleed and you got like that copper taste in your mouth, you had to get it out of your mouth. You had to get that taste of that kind of copper blood out. And I think, winning this matchup, you're able to let your lip heal and move forward and really close the door on 2020.
Yeah, exactly. This is a new season, new team, no carryover from last year, like you said. So, take it and show the community and the fans that, that you have some fight in you. And I think that's why a lot of those seniors came back, just to prove to some of the younger guys on the team the right way to win, because win is not easy, especially on the road too.
Yeah, and I think, Syracuse getting this victory, going back to Tommy DeVito, hard to believe. He only attempted 17 passes in the game. He was 11 of 17, 92 yards passing. I feel like looking at the whole game in and of itself, I can't believe, I know we were talking about it after, that we thought the stat was wrong. And, but really, he trusted in his legs. And at one point later on, I think it was in the third quarter, or might have been into the fourth quarter, at that point, he had 7 carries for 49 yards, 7 yards per carry. And Sean Tucker ended the game with 7.2 yards a carry. So your quarterback and your leading rusher both having more than 5 yards a carry through the game. Very good sign for Syracuse, and a very good sign for the option, as we saw Tommy do a lot of fakes where he kept the ball and sometimes where he let it go, but he trusted in his legs a lot. Dino Babers trusted in him, and Tommy's fakes worked, his moves worked, and he looked good tonight.
Yeah, he did. He like I said, he read the defense really well, and he kept it when he needed to, because you could tell the defense was keying on Tucker as he had that 100-yard game. And then, Tommy had his chance. He took a couple shots there on the sideline. Didn't connect on them the way he normally would. So, those are the things, again, those are the little spots where he can take that back and they can work on those. But, no, I thought he did pretty good with using his legs. And he didn't really have to do too much in this game. No disrespect to Ohio, but, they just kept the ball on the ground, developed some kind of chemistry, some rhythm. And, they kept the defense on the sideline. And that's a good thing, because we talked about that also, how much this defense last year would get worn out, on the field by the opposing offense. They flipped it from the first half. They took the ball, and like I say, if you ever watch a Dino game, if the Syracuse team has that lead going into the fourth quarter, you can I know they want to be oranges and new fast, but he's going to put the brake pedal on, and it's about winning the game at that point once you have the lead.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do. I mean, obviously you have to do what it takes to win the game and condense the clock. And I had told you about that. I mean, nothing condenses the clock like the run. The pass is not going to really give that to you. And so to trust in that the way that they did, I believe on their second to last drive of the game, ran the ball 9 straight times, did not attempt a single pass. And DeVito ran it, Lutz ran it, and Tucker ran to the tune of 9 carries, and Lutz was able to get an 11-yard touchdown where he was not touched on the way there. He hit the middle, went to the back of his offensive lineman, came off the back of him, and scooted into the end zone for an 11-yard score. So I loved seeing, having talked about the run so much going into this, it was, going into the season with Rob Drummond, I did it, and just said, you got 5 guys between Cooper Lutz and Sean Tucker back, Abdul Adams, Jarvion Howard coming back after sitting out the COVID season on their choice, and then bringing in from Beaverton, Pennsylvania, bringing in Josh Huff, that you have 5 guys you need to commit to the run, and Syracuse committed to it, in a lot of ways throughout the game, really from the first quarter all the way through. They committed to the run, and I don't want to take credit for it. I'll just say that I hope that my brain waves were sent a little bit to Dino this week.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think even the fan base will probably even agree with that statement. That's just kind of the strength of the team. It was kind of last year with the opt-outs and stuff like that. Kind of sucked to lose those talented backs there when you really need them.
Yeah.
But Tucker stepped up as a freshman, and he continued that play as you see in this first game. So you definitely got to use your running backs because that's going to be the strength of the team. And if the O-line can block continuously and consistently like this for the rest of the season and stay healthy, they definitely can be in ball games. We'll see how many they can pull out, but
yeah,
they definitely can win some games behind those running backs.
And we have a statement coming in from David. And feel free to send in your statements, your questions, your comments, your thoughts here on the video on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, which is shared on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. You're welcome to send us your thoughts, your comments, your questions here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Of course, myself, Dan Tortora, and my sit-in guest host here with me tonight for the Syracuse postgame show following the win over Ohio on the road 29-9, Mr. Isaac Alford, who's been with me on site on location at the Wildcat Sports Pub, as well as in other places, and obviously been here on the show with a voice and now a face sitting in the studio, so yes. Happy to have you.
Yes, a maskless face.
Yes, a maskless face. So David said, would like to see them rotate the backs a bit, speaking on Syracuse, and keep the legs fresh. Nothing to take away from 34, meaning Sean Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Abdul looked good at the end. Abdul had one run at the end here. Noted as the third back, since there's like a 2A and a 2B. Right. So third or fourth back, depending how you read the depth chart. It's Sean Tucker, Cooper Lutz, or, which is a thing that Syracuse likes to put in the depth chart,
right,
where they put the nice or on the side saying, this is our starter, and this could be our starter, or this is our backup and our other backup. So saying on the depth chart, Sean Tucker, Cooper Lutz, or Jarvion Howard, leaving Abdul Adams off. Your thoughts on this? I mean, Dino's answered my questions about Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard. He's been kind of clear of the good to have you guys back. Mm-hmm. Let's go to work. It seems business. Right. So I don't know behind closed doors how that went down, how he felt about it, how, they approached the team when they found out the news, when they gave the team the news. But it sounds like Dino's kind of like, yeah, we're happy you're back, but...
Yeah, you're going to have to earn your way back up to the charts, I mean, those guys, when in a tough situation last year, they stuck around and they got that opportunity and they showed what they was made of, and Lutz and Tucker. So those other guys, we love them too.
Yeah.
And we know they got some talent, but it's a long season and they all going to be needed at some point in the season. So I'm pretty sure that just like your question and comment was, to keep the legs fresh, there's going to be plenty of times to get those guys some reps in the games and stuff like that. God forbid anybody goes down, but Dino, showing some loyalty to those guys that prove that they had what it takes to be on this stage. So hey, that's how it goes. Sometimes you go down and there's an opportunity for the next person, and if they take it and run with it, you just got to keep up. And,
Yeah, and you play the hot hand.
Right.
Donald sent a message in here, said, really could have used a tight end tonight, especially in the red zone. Here's the thing, Donald. It's not that they don't have one. They had Aaron Hackett. They lost him to TCU when he transferred. And you can go back and listen to my show with Aaron Hackett following that decision, where he said, I'll always bleed orange and I'll always love Syracuse. But with all due respect, Aaron Hackett and Luke Benson were about 80 to 90% effective. I would say 80 to 87% effective in catching the ball last season, especially over the middle, especially in the end zone and in the red zone area. They just didn't go to them enough. It wasn't their fault. It was you took something that worked almost all the time and barely used it.
Right.
So Aaron Hackett goes to TCU, and I said, mark my words, if he's out there playing for them consistently, he'll have 10 to 12 touchdowns this season at TCU. They still have Luke Benson in Syracuse, and they brought in Maximilian Mang, who's been playing out there a lot as number 47, as a true freshman. So, Donald, I would say to you, it's not that they don't have a tight end. They do. They just don't seem to use the tight end.
Right.
And really, since Nick Provo, who was the leading, I think, receiving yard getter at one point on the team as a tight end, since Nick Provo, Syracuse hasn't leaned on the tight end, and it was sad because last year they had arguably their best 1-2 punch in a very long time, and they barely utilized it.
Right, and I like that Benson kid,
Yeah.
It's just a shame. Maybe it's one of those things, how coaches are. They just don't show everything.
Yeah.
But it is known over the length of a season, we definitely don't give enough targets to the tight end position or attack the middle of the field. That's something that, we constantly see go against our defense.
Yeah.
Constantly, you can guarantee that as a play they're going to make it across the middle of the field. But definitely that's something. Hopefully if they got that in their playbook, they're holding it on for special moments. But it would, in case of you losing a guy like going to a TCU, you would like to keep them productive enough they want to stick around.
Yeah.
And be a part of the team.
Yeah, and Donald saying I meant tight end usage. We're on the same page, and I got you, brother. I got you. Understand very much so. And Donald, thank you for. And David and everybody out there listening and watching on Facebook as well as on YouTube to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios in this bonus coverage of our post-game show. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora airs for you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/livenowdt where you're watching. And you can listen on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. And once the show goes live, it jumps into our archive as we have over 1,500 shows on Podbean. You can also check out TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these free podcasting and video platforms. You'll get our shows by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So a lot of ways to connect with the show, and we appreciate you for doing so and connecting with us here tonight, like I said, in our bonus coverage. So, as we look at this, you'd like to see the tight ends used more, and hopefully, as you brought up, you don't have to show everything your first game. And I don't think Dino thinks he needed to use Maximilian in the passing game. I don't think he needed to use Luke Benson. I didn't have to show much of Abdul Adams. I really didn't have to do much with the receivers. Quealy had a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Taj had a relatively quiet night.
Right.
But, this was about running the ball, ground and pound. And Sean Tucker, for the fourth time in his career, last year he was a true freshman. And due to COVID protocol and getting an extra year, this year he's a true freshman.
Right.
So and you brought up a really good point that I don't know the answer to, and I don't know if really anybody knows the distinct answer to this, but does his numbers count as an add-on, that if he had these true freshman rushing numbers and he's a true freshman still, do his true freshman numbers from last year get added to this year?
Right.
Was an interesting question that Isaac brought up when we were watching the game. And I also look at the fact that 4 times now he has gotten a 100-yard game on the ground for Syracuse, and this game tonight, 181 rushing yards, is his most ever in a single game for his career. But to go back to your point, if he was a true freshman last year and he's a true freshman this year, are his true freshman numbers both?
Right. And because he can set some records.
Yeah.
There's not many true freshmen that are running backs are in the books for Syracuse with that type of yardage. So, it'll be interesting how that does work out. That's why I brought up that question to you because, eligibility-wise, he's still listed as a freshman on the chart. So, it'll be, I don't know, will you have asterisks next to it or whatever, but if the young man keeps up this production the way he's doing it now, I definitely see some good numbers coming in the future.
Yeah, so I think it's great to see this. And speaking of Syracuse players, shout out to Marlo Wax Jr. and Deuce Chestnut for some love on social media. Yeah. And Deuce had himself a day. Deuce Chestnut becoming a starter in Syracuse's defense opposite Garrett Williams as a starting corner on the team in a back line of the defense that's obviously the focal point of the defense in a 3-3-5 with 2 corners, 2 safeties, and a rover, and having Deuce not only get playing time but be a starter going into the season and then come into this game, have multiple pass breakups, and then finally get his hand on an interception, literally running out and putting one hand on it, pulling the ball in, and turning around and getting some yardage there in his first career collegiate game as a true freshman. He had his first interception, which is making people feel, I think, a little bit better about missing guys like Andre Sisco and all that. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The young man stepped up big. I know even in camp, the team, every time they showed a little social media footage, the young man was coming down with interceptions in practice. So, but that was going to be the case coming in his first game out. Not just the pass breakups, the number of tackles he had and stuff like that. There's some talent there, and there's a reason why he earned his spot in that show tonight.
Well, and it kind of makes things interesting, and people almost have to go and watch the tape again and say, are you sure that wasn't number 2, Ifeatu Melifonwu?
Right.
Because Iffy last season, people didn't want to throw in his direction as a corner, and now taking up that spot is Deuce.
Right.
And so now if they're going to, if he's not there, he's in the NFL with Detroit, so now we can test this young buck. Well, maybe you can't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Garrett went through that last year, too. Like you said, he had an Iffy on the other side, so everybody tested Garrett. So it's kind of like a tradition in the torch starting to set up.
Yeah.
The experienced player shows the younger player what to expect and how to get it done, and hopefully they go out there and produce and make a name for themselves. So
yeah, and going by the numbers tonight as we look at it defensively, Michael Jones led the team with 10 total tackles, 8 assisted, and 2 solo in the game, and we had Deuce Chestnut with his interception and 23-yard return. He caught it going into the end zone. And you said, get down, and I was like, no, this boy wants money. So he turned around and got 23 yards, and he had a pass breakup in the game as well. He was second on the team overall defensively with tackles with 8, 5 solo, which was also the most on the team. So second most in total tackles, most in solo tackles with 5, 3 assisted. And then Jeff Canton-Arku, can't forget about him, with him being a linebacker on the team, 7 total tackles, third best on the team in this game against Ohio, 5 assisted and 2 solo. And another pass breakup came from Garrett Williams, the only interception of the game from Deuce Chestnut to start off the season and to continue Syracuse from last season where it became commonplace for them to have at least 1 interception per game in most instances, to start off this season and say, well, we're going to try to do it again.
Right.
And, looking at all the guys that are back on the back line, to take a look at how everybody kind of breaks down here. Rob Hanna had 4 tackles in the game, 2 solo, 2 assisted. And then we look at Jihad Carter, had 5 tackles, 3 assisted, 2 solo. I mentioned Deuce Chestnut. And then Garrett Williams had 4 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 assisted. And he had a tackle for a loss. And so that's another positive play here as you take a look at this. And then Justin Barron had a half of a tackle for a loss and had 3 assisted tackles in the game, which were his 3 total. So, a lot of the guys on the back line, everybody made an impression of some sorts. Jason Simmons, he also made an impression here, 3 total tackles, 1 solo, 2 assisted. And Ben LeBros, who we heard about, 3 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 assisted. So a bunch of guys in this back line making their tackles, making their name felt. And then Michael Jones leads the team as he led the team last year with the absence of Andre Sisco. And then Deuce Chestnut not only getting an interception in his first career collegiate game, but being second on the team once again in total tackles in this game and first on the team in solo tackles. So just a great night, for Deuce to make his debut and for the back line of the defense to show that they can continue to do his thing, as well as the fact that Michael Jones is not going to let you forget his name.
Exactly, and I agree with one of the comments here in the section. Garrett should have had that interception right there before the half. I mean, he did an excellent job of dropping off his man in the coverage and breaking that ball up. Hats off to the Syracuse defense. They didn't give up a touchdown in this game, and that's what I didn't want them to do. Even if it was late in that game, they made sure they kept Ohio out of the end zone. So that's something to put a fella in your cap and be proud of,
Yeah.
and try to keep that going.
And to go back to the game here and kind of give you all a breakdown of it, you can go to wakeupcalldt.com and click on the articles page, and subscribe to wakeupcalldt.com is free. So go to the articles tab, and I can bring you there right now and give you a little look-see, a little look in here as we head to the website and let you see what it looks like for those of you that haven't been there. For those of you that have bookmarked it and subscribed to it, thank you so much. But all you have to do when you go to wakeupcalldt.com, this is the CUSE page, so this stands for Constant Updates and Special Exclusives, CUSE. I like to make acronyms. So, Constant Updates and Special Exclusives here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will get you connected here with the website, and you can come here and see Syracuse as far as Dino Baber's recruiting classes over the years, as well as you can see stories and videos and listen in to shows and whatnot. So if you go to wakeupcalldt.com and do what I just did and click on the articles tab, this will bring you to the articles page, and you can see Syracuse runs past Ohio in season opener, and you can read the article right here on wakeupcalldt.com for free, and this article will give you a background on the game itself. So once again, go to wakeupcalldt.com, go to the articles tab and click on it, and you'll see Syracuse runs past Ohio in season opener. If you ever want to get straight to Syracuse football or any of our categories, you can click them on the right-hand side, and it'll take out all the other stories and only give you that specific article that you're looking for. So once again, Syracuse runs past Ohio in season opener, and you'll see at the bottom of the article here Tommy DeVito and what he was able to do in this game. Tommy DeVito once again 11 for 17 for 92 yards, no interceptions, and had a rushing touchdown. And then Sean Tucker once again 7.2 yards a carry, 181 yards is his season, a single season career best, as he is a freshman last year and still a freshman this year. So I guess we can say it's his freshman best, and good for him because he already had an awesome year last year, and it looks like it's only getting added onto and getting better. And who knows? I mean, if Syracuse can win enough games this season, they can actually make it potentially look like one season. So they get back to it. They've already equaled their win total from last year, so you can only go up from here.
Exactly.
1-10 last year, 1-0 this season as Syracuse gets set and ready to come home. And to take a look at the rest of the ACC folks, this will make you feel better, even more so. I mean, you feel good about a 29-9 win if you're a Syracuse fan. You feel good with a win in general, a win on the road, a win for the first time in a long time. But also, when you look at the ACC, Syracuse looking very, very pretty, as NC State got a win over South Florida 45-0. Then we saw Virginia Tech unranked defeat North Carolina in an ACC matchup with North Carolina ranked 10th in the nation. They struggled last year when they were ranked high too, and they lost that game to Virginia Tech 17-10. Charlotte defeated Duke 31-28 in Charlotte. Wake Forest defeated Old Dominion 42-10, and then Miami fell to Alabama, number 1 ranked team in the country. Miami number 14, 44-13 they fell. Number 5 Georgia played number 3 Clemson on neutral ground. Clemson struggled to do anything with DJ Uiagalelei, with him taking over as a starter after playing 2 games due to COVID protocol for Trevor Lawrence last year, and Georgia just won that game 10-3. BC defeated Colgate 51-0. Pitt over UMass 51-7. And then we had Georgia Tech fall at home to Northern Illinois 22-21, and Virginia spanked William and Mary 43-0. We will see Notre Dame play at home Notre Dame play on the road at Florida State, ranked number 9 in the country. Florida State unranked at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC Sunday, September 5th, unless Mike Norvell decides to have COVID again with the team. But jokes aside. And Louisville will face Ole Miss on a neutral field in Atlanta, Georgia, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this Monday, September 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And unfortunately, the Lane train will not be in the building as Lane Kiffin has COVID. And obviously, I wasn't making a joke before. I was talking about how games kept getting canceled and postponed with Florida State last year as they were struggling. But we wish the best and health and safety and happiness to Lane and all of his loved ones as he recovers and hopefully is asymptomatic, and Louisville will face off there. So, some teams did what they were supposed to do unless you're Duke or Georgia Tech.
Right. Right. Exactly. And then also the one observation I made to you, all the ranked teams so far in the ACC lost this weekend, So, I mean, winning is tough, and every season is a new season. So, it feels good to win when you do win. So,
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, just like the Syracuse fans now are happy, and I'm definitely happy to watch this team pull out a victory. You know.
And you bring up a good point. I mean, on neutral ground, Miami lost, ranked in the top 25. Clemson ranked 3rd, and then Notre Dame ranked 10, all taking losses as ranked teams, and none of the other ACC teams ranked. Florida State has nothing to lose. Louisville has nothing to lose, playing on Sunday and Monday, giving us some extra football, which I'm excited to see before the NFL kicks off on Thursday, September 9th. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. And if for nothing else, Syracuse fans, you are number 1 in the Atlantic Division right now, so sharing the spot with NC State.
Right.
So kind of cool, and Wake Forest and BC. So to see that is a great thing, and for Deuce to have such a good intro to college football is a beautiful thing. Marlo Wax, I sent him some love, and you can go and you can go listen to my interview with him. I'll repost it for you all. But Marlo Wax, Cooper Lutz actually said it in our video Q&A. You can watch on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And on this video, I will put all the links to it. So when the video ends, I'll make sure I link all the YouTube things so you can go back and watch my one-on-one Q&As with these gentlemen, including my extensive cut with Garrett Williams and Cooper Lutz. And Cooper Lutz mentioned right before the game started this week, he said that Marlo Wax had just gained the right for a single digit. And for those of you that don't know, on Dino Baber's team, in order to become a single digit on the team, you have to do something to earn it. Mm-hmm. And Marlo did well enough in camp to earn the number 2, so his single digit is stating a higher level that he's pushed himself to, and that Dino has seen and respected and applauded and rewarded. So shout out to Marlo Wax on getting the number 2.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of tough watching these defensive players with these single digits. Even seeing Thompson with 7, mentally I keep thinking Cisco.
Yeah.
But, I know. So, yeah, kudos to those young men for earning their single digits and doing great things in camp. Just hopefully, that just means better things to come for them and the team.
Yeah, in Syracuse, struggling to get more than a field goal after Tommy DeVito's run. Syracuse got a safety right after.
Right.
Interesting thing here that the gentleman on Ohio who fumbled I think it was Tuggle, who fumbled was stopped really close on his potential kick return to being knocked into the end zone. And then on the very first play of the first drive of Ohio right after, he was kept in the end zone,
right,
and they were able to cause the safety to put him up 9-0. Andre Schmidt did what he needed to do, the Lou Groza Award winner, and it's crazy to think that he is the only one that won the nation's best kicker award in Syracuse history, when Syracuse has had Olindo Mare, Nate Trout, who's still the team's all-time leading scorer and a friend of mine, and Gary Anderson.
Right.
A lot of great kickers have come through here. So to see Andre Schmidt back is a beautiful thing, to see what he has been able to do, and much love and respect. And David bringing up Marlo Wax was offered to play running back or linebacker when he came into Syracuse. He talks to me about it in the Q&A that I will share on all of our channels, our podcasting channels, and here on our social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and you'll be able to check him out there. He had the opportunity to play both ways, and he wanted to play linebacker.
Yeah.
So he chose to go over there and earn the number 2 this year, which is a beautiful thing, like we said. And Syracuse was able to come out of this with a 20-point victory. I really honestly believe that the season was relying on this game. Mm-hmm. You lose, it feels like last season is just continuing to bleed, as I mentioned before. You win, and it feels like you're starting anew, and you're starting, a different chapter. So I think Syracuse had to win this game, and this puts them in a good position coming home for 3 straight home games, which will take them out of their non-conference.
Right. And I agree, too. I think coming in this game, it kind of had that must-win feel to it. But also, like I told you before the game, I think the O-line is kind of the big difference between this team and last year's team. When they broke camp last year, it was almost to the point where, if Chris didn't do what he did to play O-line, it probably was going to be a tough season to either forfeit or just opt out the whole season all in itself. But now having a new O-line coach and healthy guys on the line, you see tonight what they can do, and with the transfer from Florida and Bellich and everything like that. So once these guys get a couple more games under their belts, more time to get cohesiveness to them. I definitely think this season, like you said before, you see 6 wins, but there are some other wins out there. If they can capitalize on those, it could be 6 or more. But one game, as they say, one game at a time. We can talk about other games like that, but one game at a time, and they got some good competition coming up. So definitely I can see starting on the right foot is a good for the team and for the fan base, because definitely you didn't want to come home with a loss to an Ohio team.
No, and you didn't want a former MAC coach to lose in the MAC after spending 5 years in the ACC.
Right.
So, and no offense to that, but he was supposed to take a step up in what he was going up against with the Clemsons of the world and Florida States and whatnot, and now North Carolina and arguably Miami, and so in Pittsburgh. So also good to see the attendance, fans back in the stands, albeit that it wasn't the Dome yet. But 23,904 in attendance, and the capacity was 24,000. So they were only 96 people away from selling out in Ohio, in Athens, Ohio. So shout out to them at Peden Stadium for filling up that thing. The way that the game broke down, just to give you a little scoring summary, a touchdown by Tommy DeVito, 6-yard run, as you said, is the first score for Syracuse this season. Comes from Tommy DeVito on a 6-yard touchdown run with 6:37 left in the first quarter. The safety came just a few seconds after, 13 seconds after to be exact. Shout out to my grandpa, his lucky number. 6:24 left in the first. The first quarter would end 9-0. Then Steven Johnson, who missed a 50-yard field goal on earlier on, actually the first drive of the game. So pardon me, the safety came on Ohio's second drive of the game. The first drive of the game was a 50-yard field goal miss by redshirt senior Steven Johnson of Ohio. He gets his field goal from 22 away with 13:33 left in the second quarter. It's the first score for Ohio in the game. Makes it 9-3. Syracuse responds with Andre Schmidt from 29 yards out with 6:42 left before half, 12-3, and Steven Johnson with a 30-yarder with 19 seconds left before halftime makes it 12-6 Syracuse. In the third quarter, it was all Syracuse again here. Just like the first quarter, they held the other side of Ohio scoreless. Schmidt had a 20-yard field goal that made it 15-6 with 6:23 left to go. And then with 10 seconds left, Sean Tucker in the third quarter had a 6-yard touchdown run to make it 22-6. In the fourth quarter, Steven Johnson had a 25-yard field goal with 11:21 to play to make it 22-9 Syracuse. And Cooper Lutz's aforementioned 11-yard touchdown run made it 29-9 with 5:15 to go. So, Syracuse scored in every quarter. They shut out Ohio in 2 quarters, the first and the third. And what we learned from the timing of all this is that Syracuse, at least for this game, likes to score around the 6-minute mark of each quarter. Just a funny note.
Yeah, just a funny thing to know.
Syracuse with 383 total yards, Ohio with 346. Syracuse created 1 turnover. They did not commit a single turnover in the game. That helps you win games, folks, as you know. And Syracuse ending the game with 283 yards rushing, which typically is what they give up on the other side, is 200 plus. So Syracuse 44 carries for 283 yards, 6.4 yards per carry as a team, 3 touchdowns as a team. Sean Tucker, Tommy DeVito, Cooper Lutz all scoring a touchdown in the game. Abdul Adams getting involved. Garrett Schrader had a rush in the game. Jarvion Howard had one, and wide receiver Courtney Jackson had a carry as well. Anthony Quealy led the team that really didn't have to worry about the passing game too much. Quealy 3 catches for 39 yards. Taj Harris 6 catches for 29 yards. Rob Hanna, that's not right. That was Sherrod Johnson. So Rob says Rob Hanna. No, Sherrod Johnson had a catch of the game, who's a starter on the depth chart, and Jarvion Howard had a catch out of the backfield as well. Even though Syracuse didn't have to lean on the receiving core, they still had 100 yards receiving on 12 catches, so posted at least 100 yards receiving and at least 100 yards rushing, 383 yards of offense. Looked terrific running the ball, still had 100 yards through the air. I think statistically, no turnovers as well. Syracuse, all around, just looks good. And if they can carry these numbers with at least some of the ACC, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good season.
Yeah, definitely. Again, how we start at the beginning, they came in and did exactly what they needed to do. They didn't need to show any fancy plays, no trick plays, anything like that. Just line up, run the ball, hit them in the mouth, give the ball to Tucker, let him do what he do. And then exactly, if you're averaging 7 yards a carry, and you keep that, up throughout the season, that's special right there. That's a kid that, it's hard to break down. And he's a tough runner, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah, and I want to give up one of the comments here. I was so excited to see him in, we were both on site, Isaac and I, for the Fan Fest on Friday, and not this Friday, but last Friday, and so we got to be in the Dome and got to see Trevor Pena returning punts and kicks, just kind of practicing that. I was excited to see him number one on the depth chart in both, and obviously today he had an incredible return for 35 yards that got them to the Ohio 30-yard line. So shout out to Trevor Pena, who is a dangerous man, and as I told you when we were watching the game, if you get 5 yards or more on a punt return, you've gained my respect.
Right.
Because it's very hard, especially with hang time and everything going on. It's extremely difficult to get that ball, and by the time you get it, to be able to pass anyone. So any positive yardage is good. If you get at least 5 yards on a punt return, like, again, you have my respect. He got 35 yards on a punt return, and Trevor Pena is going to be a dangerous, feisty character, I think, here, and from the Sean Rileys and the Nykeem Johnsons and the Brisley Esteems and whatnot of the world. I'm very excited for Trevor Pena, and I just hope that this is a killer season for him, because he's scrappy, he's exciting, he's elusive, and I think he's a feisty weapon for the team, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it takes a special person to win that job on special teams as a punt returner, because, those guys, you got to have real nerves of steel, you know what I'm saying? Because, like you say, you got 11 guys barreling down on you, and that ball is just floating in the air.
Yeah.
It feels like eternity, and then, you catch it, and you show a couple of quick moves there, and then take it up the sideline. You need those game changers, because if you can get anybody that can flip the field for you, they always put the offensive in a better spot, and it gets the crowd into the game. It gets, the team into it. So, Trevor, is a one you're going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. Trevor Pena, make sure you're looking out for the young man, number 29, marked as a wide receiver at 6 foot, 185 out of Ocean Township, New Jersey, and is playing as your kick returner and punt returner. David saying he'd like to see more blitz packages from Tony White. I think any of us under the last 5 seasons and change under Dino Babers would like to see any blitz anytime ever, and because Scott did it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be nice to see it in a 3-3-5, a little more difficult. But if you can cheat your rover forward or bring somebody from the back line forward to help with the linebackers, you can kind of just bring one and then go, or bring a safety to. I miss the days where the corners and the safeties for Schaefer used to cheat up to the line, and they used to come around the side and get after it when the defensive line was pushing up front. So you got a bunch of great guys, a veteran O-line, or defensive line, I should say, with Josh Black, McKinley Williams, and Kingsley Jonathan. And it's my hope that all of those gentlemen get to eat, because at the next level, I would love to see them all get a shot. So.
But you know what? I think, as we do all, would like to see more pressure. But if you go back to that early in the game when they had the safety, that kind of shows you what the 3-3-5 can do on a goal line situation.
Yeah.
Those guys probably showed a little more pressure in that situation, because for Ohio, either you're going to toss the ball out of the end zone, or, what they thought, maybe lean with their offensive line in the back and try to run it out, But there again, you see the defense getting a little push, hitting the gaps, and was able to take the running back down in the end zone for the safety. So, keep your eye out on that defense. I think they still played a little vanilla too. They didn't really do anything exotic to win this game. They kept receivers in front of them. Sometimes I do want to pull my hair out when I see cornerbacks 10 yards off, but no, they did exactly what they wanted to do. They gave and they bent, but they didn't break.
Yeah. They always say with anything, bend but do not break.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at the fact that also in this game, to see, like you said, kind of what they did or maybe didn't do, some things, defensively, for it to see the fact that this team was able to apply some pressure and stop some things, but still, is something that I posted on Twitter at CallDT about, is that it doesn't matter the scheme, it doesn't matter the D coordinator, and it doesn't matter the head coach, and it doesn't matter what season of these last many seasons. Syracuse is constantly exposed over the middle, and how many times, especially on third down, and in this game against Ohio, despite winning by 20, was Syracuse left chasing somebody over the middle.
Right. But give Deuce a little credit too, because when they threw it to him, he wasn't having it.
Right.
He did a couple of pass breakups there too, or separate the ball from the receiver. But again, that could have been schemed up where they backed off a little bit. But again, it's hard to accept that though. You rather want to take the spirit out of the other team. You don't want to give yardage here and there, because all it takes is somebody to miss a tackle, and a small play becomes a bigger play.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they have in store. But I definitely I like, for the first game out, what they did.
Yeah, and Caleb Okechukwu, one of the people here listening and watching, brought up here, had a tackle for a loss. He's the one that I think pushed at the line to force that safety by Tuggle. So a shout out to him. And as I did during the game, and I will do it once again, a big time shout out, because you've earned it, because you deserve it, because you've heard enough negativity, and because statistically you allowed the most sacks last season at one point in all of Division 1A football, and the season before in all of Division 1A football. So to show some love, that after 2 seasons of being the worst offensive line in the country, back-to-back years, that you start off 2021 with only allowing 1 sack in this game, protecting your quarterback, not having Tommy. Tommy didn't run today because he had to. He ran because it was designed, or because he wanted to, or both. So a very different game when your quarterback gets to run the option because he wants to, as opposed to running for his life.
Right.
So a big-time shout-out to left tackle Matt Bergeron, finally getting to see transfer Florida Gator Chris Bleich, center Carlos Vettorello, as well as right guard Darius Tisdale, and of course the grandpa of the line, right tackle Aaron Service. You all deserve love and respect for what you've done, including other people that helped on the O-line. So congratulations to you. As statistically, we've brought up, including myself, where the offensive line was the last 2 years. So I want to make sure that if statistically I have to bring up that constructive criticism, I'm going to bring up the accolades and the positives as well, and that you need to be heard and your names need to be said in a very positive way. So I think, people are so quick to talk negatively about the line. So I want to make it a point before we close out today's special Syracuse at Ohio postgame with Isaac Alford and myself, Dan Tortora, on Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, that before we close tonight's broadcast, which has led us into Sunday, I want to shout out the offensive linemen, all 5 plus help, to say thank you for what you did for Tommy DeVito, and thank you for what you did for the running game. We've heard enough negatives about you. It's time to pat you on the back and say, job well done, gentlemen. So I couldn't leave the show without saying to these 5 linemen, kudos to your job that you did to start off the 2021 season, because their names have been in so many mouths, not in a positive way. So when they do something good, you gotta remember it and you gotta talk about it. I think so many people are quick to think that they're gonna fail. So if I'm the only one, fine. If we're the only ones, fine. I'm not going to leave tonight's show without saying thank you for tonight with a job well done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as Dino said it too, the game is won in the trenches. And those young men came out there, they performed well. And much love to them, and health for the rest of the season, because you definitely need those guys up front because everything starts right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you to each and every single one of you for watching on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And a special thanks to all of our proud partners that you hear from every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you're hearing from right now as well by us saying thank you to our Central and Upstate New York partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, as well as the Millhouse Market, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mother's Cupboard, as well as Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, and of course a big time thank you as they jump on screen here for a second to Progressive Dental as well on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, and of course to those awesome and wonderful Lemoyne Dolphins that are right here in Syracuse, New York as well. And shout out to them of being in action with cross country for men's and women's at home, as well as being at home for men's and women's soccer. And they have a game this Sunday at noon against Jefferson, the men's soccer team. And of course, on the road, the women's volleyball team is in action. So fins up to the Lemoyne Dolphins, who spent over 600 days without competing due to COVID and everything with Division II. So happy to have y'all back on the field in the courts of life. And of course, a big time shout out to everybody there and here in Central and Upstate New York. We appreciate you. We thank you for watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a very special post-game show. Syracuse at Ohio, 29-9. Syracuse with a 20-point victory to start off the season. They'll come home, and you'll get to see them for the first time in almost 2 years when you come into the Dome for the 2021 home opener against former Big East rival, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And God bless to all the people of New Jersey and New York, including the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, as they've been dealing with flooding and some unfortunate times. So we hope that you're all safe and well and stay that way, and that you get to the Dome safely and soundly. And folks, it's up to you. 49,000 plus seats are in the Dome. It's time for you to rock it. This is a new Dome with new speakers, a new sound system, new video boards, as well as new lights, a new roof, and so much more. The experience is incredible. The time is now. And if for nothing else, folks, it's Rutgers. So show up. Greg Schiano's back with his second stint with Rutgers, and this is going to be a good game. As Dino even said at FanFest, I'm not going to say the name of the team that we're playing. So let the rivalry be reborn.
Exactly.
And fans, you need to show up. And R might come before S in the alphabet, but it better not on Saturday, September 11th.
Exactly. And also come for the AC, too. That's another feature. So.
Oh, yeah, come for the air conditioning. So a lot of love. Appreciate it. David saying, appreciate it. Keep up the great work and content. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thanks for tagging the show, and thanks for your appreciation. And Isaac, thank you for being here with me. And thank you for being healthy and well. And I'm happy that we get to be unmasked in the studio.
Yes.
So watch this, folks. Handshakes. Congratulations to Syracuse. Thank you all for watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll talk with you very soon.
God bless.
No stress. Do your best. He started it off. There's 3 things we say on the show. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk with you soon. Be well.